Let me know
Okay.
when you're ready. You good? Okay. Suresh, based on my experience and or based on my limited knowledge so far, I believe most of the problems that India faces today, somehow the root, the cause, and the solution lies with villages. And I know you have been really working diligently for the last 10 to 12 years on the subject, right? So would you care to shed some light on all the great work that you've been doing? Most importantly, help us understand the problems and how we can all kind of team up to see and how we can build synergies around the problems that you're trying to solve in villages around farmers.
Thanks, Ravi, and first of all, many congratulations and thanks sincerely for bringing these many number of organizations under one umbrella. It's no easy task. So India has predominantly been an agriculture-based economy, right? Right from independence, and even before that, agriculture has been the mainstay. And we keep talking about building smart cities and making more investments in urbans, building highways and bridges and bullet trains and all of that. But the real economy lies in the rural villages. You want to make India prosper, develop, we need more smart villages. Smart cities can happen later, but the real investment has to happen in smart villages. Now for that to happen, if you see, majority of the rural population is dependent on agriculture directly or indirectly. So if there is no investment in agriculture, there is no way the villages and the people dependent on that are going to have an opportunity to prosper themselves, right? Today the situation is, there's a poster right outside where India's agriculture contribution to GDP in 1950 was about 51%. In 2016-17 or 15-16, it got dropped to 15% only. So you can see the dramatic drop in agriculture contribution. Likewise, the agriculture budget is also being reduced dramatically over the years. And you put it very rightly when you said all the problems are somehow coming back to the fact that agriculture is not doing well, because if 70% population is dependent on agriculture, obviously if you can't solve agriculture, then the problems are going to just surmount, right? So the first step is going to be making smart villages, that the rural economies have to be strengthened, investments have to be made, agriculture needs to be prospered. Take for example, one farmer has a small village of 200 families there. If the farmer is growing tomatoes, right? The farmer today does not have the capacity to store the tomatoes or to add value addition, right? If the tomato ketchup bottle sells for like 200 rupees in their stores, a kilo tomato sells at only for 50 rupees. Or even worse, there were times when the tomatoes were sold for 1 rupee a kilo, right? So imagine if the village itself gets the chance to store these tomatoes, process them, then send it to the market. How much of an economical boost you are giving? You're providing employment opportunities, and also you're making sure the farmer is getting a maximum revenue for all the hard work the farmer is putting in. So in terms of how all the organizations here can come together and work is, different organizations over the years have gained tremendous amount of expertise and knowledge in different areas, right? Be it agriculture, be it education, be it schools, be it healthcare. So you pick any topic, I'm sure there is an organization that's gained expertise in that. So if we put all this expertise together and we work to our strengths, then I'm sure with the help of people's contribution along with our involvement, I'm sure there can be change that's possible. And we have also done this. Every organization you speak to, they have some amount of success that they have already recorded, and it's worth taking this experience forward, right? Thanks.
Thank you for that, Suresh. Could you also, how do we create an entire next generation of children from US to kind of start investing in agriculture, or just kind of get into that more? Because engineer ka beta engineer banega, a farmer's kid will never become a farmer. How do we actually create more farmers, especially get our kids in US to kind of influence some of these decisions?
Right. I think the first thing we got to realize is what we are doing today is not as a charity. We all, I think, strongly do this because we think this is our responsibility. And I think everybody on the panel agrees that we are doing this because it's our responsibility. And if we are responsible, then we will certainly make sure that the kids are also part of this responsibility, and together we take that step forward. Now I'll give you a small incident. So I keep telling stories to my kids, bedtime stories, and these bedtime stories are about social issues. I convert them into social, like, bedtime stories. One of the stories I happen to tell my kid about a farmer, I don't exactly remember the story, but he happened to tell his teacher the next day that a certain thing has happened, and my father works for farmers. And he said, my father works for farmers. So the teacher thought I'm also a farmer. So the next day I get a note saying, oh, your son was saying something along those lines. I didn't quite understand what he was trying to say. And then I talked to my son, and he said, oh, I wanted to see if the teacher can ask all the kids in the school to write a card for the farmers. Right? Give their message to the farmers. So then I told the teacher, wrote a note to her. So the teacher gladly obliged, and she had a card written down. All the kids wrote down, and it's still with me right now. And a few weeks later, the teacher actually organized a video conference with a dairy farmer. So that they were doing a video conference call in the school, and these are all like first graders. So they were asking questions to the dairy farmer, and the dairy farmer was actually showing the cows and his farm, and the whole 9 yards. So this is at a very young age. The kids are getting exposed to the farmers. Now normally in schools here especially, they invite the firemen, the policemen, the doctors to come over, but they never invite a farmer. And that's how we sort of make these changes. And once they become part of the whole thought process, I'm sure kids have incredible amount of creativity and positivity, which we adults lack because of whatever reasons, right? So these kids, that freshness I'm sure will help us, look at things, look at the problems in a slightly different way, and maybe they will be able to, break that barrier that is there right now, where it stops people from directly jumping into action and do something for the society.
Thank you, Suresh. Shaila, people for urban and rural education, right? Can you take us on a journey? Why don't we start from the rural education first and then move on to urban?
Can I ask Suresh a question first? Ravi asked about how do we get the children from here to be a little sympathetic or get into farming, right? My question is, how do we get the children in India, a farmer's child, who is seeing how hard farming is, how bad it is? Some kids have lost their dads, right? How do we assure them that it's okay if they want to become a farmer? How do we get them from going away from farming? That's more important. I'm not saying we have to make a farmer's child a farmer, but there could be a neighbor, son of somebody else, some other profession. So I feel like whatever we are doing in India today, whatever is being shown on TV, all of this, the deaths and the deaths, everything. How do we say it's okay that you should try your hand at farming, right, in rural areas?
So about 2 years ago, I think I made a very short film, about 4 minutes. It's based on a story that I had told my kids, and the story is exactly what your question is around. So situation was, a kid comes back home being very happy, and the mother asks the kid, what happened, why are you so happy, aren't you supposed to get your report card today? Does that mean you did very well and that's why you're happy? And the kid says, no, I did not do good. But the encouragement that I got from the headmaster today was very fulfilling, in the sense that he said, marks don't really mean that much, you did your best that you could. So don't worry about not getting the marks, you got the experience and you will follow the same journey. But that gave me a lot of confidence, and I think that's what I needed. And then the kid goes in, the mother says, okay, go tell your father and he'll be also be happy. So the kid goes in, and then she doesn't come out. The mother goes in and sees what happens. The story, reveals in the end that his father had actually committed suicide, and the kid reflects. She says that if my father had gotten similar words of encouragement, that it's okay if you had lost the harvest this season, and if you try again the next season, you would get, maybe my father would be alive, right? And that is exactly what is needed, that when you and I are sad, there are friends who we rely on, right? There are parents, or there are other people who we go to. But for the farmer, because of the nature of his or her work, they're already working in isolation. They're already cut off. It is at that point that a society needs to respond to them in a proactive manner. And if that kind of a society stands up for the farmer, then I'm sure they won't feel this level of isolation and desperation that they have.
Thank you. Thank you. And this question is what Pure is all about. Pure serves these children of farmers, farm laborers. And Pure represents what my question was. We want to build confidence in the children that we serve. And then we also want to bring opportunities, and we want to assure that a child can dream and that Pure is there to help them realize the dream. Pure started in 2016 of March, and today I'm the voice for about 1.5 lakh children that we help, 150,000 children. It all started with a choice, a child's choice, a child who had nothing. I should say children who had nothing. I get a call, I'll keep it short. I know when it's Pure I can just talk for hours, but this will be very quick. I got a call at 10:30 in the night because of the time difference, and I got a call saying a tribal school in Khammam needs some notebooks. I jumped on it because like any other person living here in the States, I'm always ready to help if I can and when I can. And then a half hour later I get a call saying the school also needs plates. And I snapped at the person who called me. And I said, how much will you ask? And I slept. I slept peacefully. While my question about how much will you ask was actually presented to a bunch of teenagers from this tribal school in Khammam, now Kottagudem. And the children chose notebooks. In the morning I called back, my conscience set in, or maybe it was curiosity. Today I just want to paint a positive note to it, so it's saying conscience. I called back and said, what's with plates? I understand notebooks, what's with plates? That's when I got to know that children in that school don't get to eat breakfast. Some of them don't get to eat dinner. They come to school, class is going on, and over there, the kitchen or outdoor kitchen, there's no proper kitchen there. Imagine your mom or dad cooking in the kitchen, and then you're hungry. And we are talking about hungry kids who haven't eaten a meal, 2 meals skipped. And there are 40 plates for 200 children. Some of them cannot wait for their turn. They do not have an extra plate to bring from home. 4 children to 1 plate. Imagine 4 children eating out of 1 plate, a plate which has holes in it, sambar or dal served in it. So a child holds it this way, and 4 of them are eating. And the night before, I slept peacefully and just threw out a question out there, how much will you ask? And the children sat there, 20 children, 12-year-olds. They chose notebooks. That's it, that's where Pure started. We transformed the school, and the story started there, and today I sit here 350 schools later in 3 years, and thousands of children served, not just food, not just plates, but everything that they would need to get to school or college. We work with children from agrarian crisis, we work with children of sex workers, we work with street children, we work with special needs kids, differently abled children. We get them prosthetic limbs, wheelchairs, visual aids, anything a child needs to get to school or college to make their dreams come true. They have already chosen education. We just make the burden on their shoulders a little less. And there's one more thing. Most of you probably have run into if you are especially in IT, you have run into coworkers who have communication issues, who do not have the proper communication skills. When asked in college, in mainstream college, engineering or wherever you run into them, they are not proud of or shy of. They are shy about the school that they have been to. A lot of us, I don't know how many of you speak Telugu, but we would just call these government schools as Veedi Badi. And that's what they get teased about, bullied about. I want our children who go to these pure schools, we call them pure schools. These are just government, regular public schools that we transform into quality learning environments. I want this child to say, I went to a public school. Oh, you had nothing. No, we had virtual classrooms. We had a proper science lab. And that's what Pure is all about, infrastructure improvements and a lot of other things.
Thanks, Shara. So, 150,000 children in 2 years, 350 schools. I think you guys are miracle workers. I mean, that's a miracle for a kid who's been waiting for 3 hours for his turn to get a plate to eat, right? And then you guys spend time to do a whole gamut of other things, right? So, public school is one thing. I think pure school is the aspirational semi-quasi private school, I don't know, with all the features and everything that you guys are really providing, right? I believe the 350 schools that actually you guys are operating at almost like a government level, right? So are you talking to the government of Telangana or Andhra Pradesh, or do you think there is a hope that we can actually kind of synergize with the government, where Pure is now adopting schools, and you guys are setting a standard and a benchmark for the government schools to follow? So it's not about so much about a public school anymore, it's actually a pure public school or something like that. You want to shed some light on that?
I'll be very brutally honest. Today, I'm just happy that government is not interfering in our work and putting brakes on what we're doing, and I'm very happy about that. Telangana, it's easier for us to work with. Andhra Pradesh, we do run into a few issues. It's just a cultural thing about who's coming in and helping. There are a few questions. Telangana is happy, the villages are happy that somebody is doing something for the village. Having said that, our main focus is in Telangana and AP, but we've been working in West Bengal and Uttar Pradesh as well. We are trying to get attention from both Telangana and the AP government, and this is for our underwear project. That's something very close to my heart in a way too, because all of you know that government provides a couple of pairs of uniforms. These children sleep in these uniforms, play in these uniforms, they come back to school. Most of the schools have no benches, they are sitting on the floor. Imagine a skirt or a short with no underwear inside riding up. We are talking about primary school kids here. We are partners with Save the Child in your Pari initiative. Right? We have reached 75,000 girls with our workshops. We call it Pure Fem. Just a different name, we are all on the same goal. We give them reusable pads, we give them biodegradable pads, we give them what they want. But we are talking about girls who have nothing to wear inside. And these girls get taunted, teased, bullied. Not every child develops the same way. Different body shapes. And we are talking about uniforms that are thin material and a little chunni to cover themselves up. A lot of girls suffer from issues that affect them psychologically from all this bullying. So that's one project we have actually submitted to the Telangana government, and did not get, we were able to reach Harish Rao Garu, but we did not get any positive response from it. We were appreciated. But there have been a couple of projects that we are trying to test waters with. This Japti Shivnor in Medak district is one village that was in the news 3 years back with the crackdown on the sex work there. A particular community has been pushed into sex work for many, many years. And we tried to go in there, go out of our comfort zone, which is developing schools and working with children. But we did not, that was one time that we got pushback from the government. So far Pure has been into social service. Pure in 2019 has stepped into activism. That's where we are today, and that's where Pure will be going. We will be not working with the government, we are ready to fight the government at this point.
Thank you, Shaila. Anybody have any questions? Please hold on to them because I have my own questions to clarify. That's okay. Jyoti, you've been my friend. You've been my inspiration for the last 10 years now. And from a Chirag's perspective, right? You guys have ignited so many kids' minds, and I know the closest thing to your heart is about not just educating the kids, but really giving them an enriching life and improving the quality of the literacy that they get. And this could be like libraries or teachers and stuff like that, right? So I know we all do all that stuff, but you want to give us a spiel on that from a Chirag's perspective?
Sure, definitely. So, first of all, thanks Shaila for your amazing work. And Shaila brought a concept, right? The Vidhi Badi Jilla Parishad School, local medium. By the way, I'm the proud product of those Jilla Parishad schools. I studied in the government schools till my 10th grade, right? And I studied in the local medium, Telugu medium. And today I work for Netflix and I worked in Yahoo and had some startups as well. So I'm a good product from those government schools, right? What is lacking in them? Fortunately, my father is a school teacher and I had a very good motivated teacher while I was growing up and studying in those schools. So credit to them that they mold me into where I am today, right? But unfortunately, a lot of the schools are lacking those motivated teachers today, right? So Jilla Parishad School, by the way, they're no way inferior to the private schools in Andhra, Telangana, or any local states you take. They have much more qualified teachers. They have MHC, MED, BSc, BEd, right? When you take private schools, they hardly have maybe masters. They might have, BSc and what that, right? But why, the qualified, in spite of having qualified teachers in those Jilla Parishad schools, but the stats are not good when compared to private school. And by the way, compared to private school, government schools also have a very good infra, right? It's all because of lack of motivation, lack of focus, and the encouragement in the schools, right? So where Chirag comes into the picture is adopting these schools and making an impact. Because firsthand we saw it. I mean, while I was growing up, my house has like 30 to 35 kids. We train them, we, provide classes for Jawahar Navodaya, Gurukul Vidyalayas, groom those children like in 4th and 5th grades so that they can clear these exams and get into the next level, right? So how can we, intervene these childs at the early age and provide them enrichment so that way they can, go to the next places, right? Of course, Chirag is a small organization like other organizations, but the thing is, we rely so much on the partnerships. We work with Save the Child, we work with Children Vitamin Project, we work with ASHA, ILP, all these organizations that are making good impact in education area, and we provide resources to the school. So when we adopt these government schools, we provide mini libraries and we provide school benches, and my partner will talk about other girl empowerment services that they work on. So all these things, we are not solving the problem. I mean, we are just helping them to overcome some of these challenges that in fact motivates the teachers also to engage more, support these children more. And I'll give one example. There's one kid, Prasad Chanti, right? He dropped out of 8th grade and he's working in a mechanical shed for 3,000 rupees per month. And when we asked his parent, right, what he's gonna get when he graduates, I mean, right now at least he's making 3,000 rupees. So that's the mindset these parents have, right? So we have to intervene them and put those kids back to the schools. And that kid today actually graduated. He's the second topper in BTech. He did MTech. Now he's working for Intel, drawing close to 50 lakhs package. So he's again a government school product, right? So we have to create that hope and motivation in those government schools, and that's what the Chirag Adopt School project is about.
So, Jyoti, I have another question for you. You are like a superstar when it comes to raising funds, right? You do a campaign for Shrink Foundation, you raise 100,000, and you barely make 5,000 for Chirag. What do you think is the problem?
So, by the way, I'm a product manager as well. So, whenever you have a product, right, it's easy to sell, easy to market, easy to influence with. And similar to corporate world, even service and charity world also, you need a product. Unfortunately, your special need child, he's not a product for you. You can't sell him as a product. And that's what we are dealing with in this special need and the education area. If you take any hospitals or any big causes, right? They have a product. They can put your name on the hospital, and you can have like buildings, temples, community halls, because they have a product. People buy the product very easily. If you say like, oh, I have a 100K price tag or a million price tag to put your name on this product, people will jump in like close. But if you say, I have this special need child, if you support him and he'll pray for you and he'll smile at you. Unfortunately, that's not the product we are able to sell in this market. And somehow all these organizations we are working with, we have to either influence the people's mindset, these are not the products. Children are not products, right? Children are our future, so you have to invest in them.
Your stories, however, the children's stories are pure. Pure's fundraising platform has been social media, and for us, we have been successful. I don't want to say that the child is a product, but we have been successful in raising funds when it's a child versus or a school versus an awareness session like a FEM workshop, which we do need money to send volunteers in to conduct these workshops. What sells, and I like it, have you said it's a product, human interest stories sell. People connect with the story, and we've been weaving a story. Every child, just like you and I have a story, we have a story, and I'm very glad. And I actually envy where Jyoti and Mrudula are. That's what I was saying, that California is the hub for me to raise funds in. But we've been using, and again, I live in a suburb in Florida. My audience is very small, so I've chosen social media. And these stories have been helping us. And just sharing this in case somebody else can use the same thing that we have been doing.
Thank you, Sharon. Jyoti, I think I have a point of view on why we fail. I'm not going against Shankarai Foundation, but it's interesting that I actually lost half of my friends today because there is another event going on today in Dallas for Shankarai Foundation. I think we're all blinded ourselves and not seeing the problems that you can actually see, and you're trying to solve somebody else's blindness, right? We'll talk about that topic later. Mrudula, you and I share one very common fragment, which is special needs children. Can you talk about your passion for special needs kids you have from a Chirag's perspective?
Sure, Ravi. This is what I believe. I believe everybody wants to help, but they don't know how, but they don't know whom to trust. It's because, due to a lot of charities and a lot of influence, they don't know if the money is reaching the right person is not. But once, if you show them the right platform, tell them this is how your money is spent, show them, like they say, bang for your buck, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people helping you. And with regards to special needs, I feel I was very lucky whenever I had a project, whenever I had to raise money for any of the special needs, I was able to raise through friends and family. This is how my fundraising was. Like as Shaila said, I work on social media. We live in Bay Area, right? So we have long commutes. Me and Jyoti will discuss, okay, we have a project and let's just say we have to raise this much money. I'll sit in my car, I'll make a couple of calls. By the time I reach work, everything is funded. So, as I said, I'm not too much into social media, especially with the charity, but I was able to raise for whatever money that I wanted for any of the special needs. But money is one aspect, but the more hesitation or more hurdles that I'm facing is the local politics. I'm trying to, we spoke about it, Ravi, and then we need to work together, and I don't know how to solve it. I'm trying my level best, but we'll see how it goes. For me, this is what I believe. Special need kids can do so much. So, for example, I know a bunch of kids, because of their situation, they were not given any motivation or any kind of love. So there are these two couple, wife and husband, and she is a special needs kids teacher, and they founded this school called Angels in Palancha, where I'm from. I'm from Kottagudda. And They go, because these are all daily workers, like they go make like 500 rupees per day, and it's hardly enough for them to have like proper meals for like a day. They go and they send an auto, they pick up those kids, they get to the school, they give them all the medical support, and depending on what their situation is, they analyze what the cause behind the situation, and they give them proper medical attention. And they train them with some kind of skill. They build some, depending on what they can do. They build a skill set and train them, and we kind of give them platforms to make money. So they are not a burden, but the parents are now proud of them. From all the way, I know some kids, like those kids were sitting like on the bed for like years together. Now they go, they know what, they have basic information about math, science, and they know how to approach people. And half of the day, they have their own like life encouraging skills, and they make money over the weekends. And they are helping other kids. They're mentoring other kids who are from the similar social and economical background, to like help them, providing them confidence. And with that, I wanted to build like a school for them. So every year we can produce about 200 special needs kids, taking up and then encouraging them, and they are living on themselves, like they are living by themselves without any support from their parents. In fact, these kids are supporting their parents in their old age. And that's what, that's the reason we are here for. And you want me to give you an example? I have like a decade full of examples from all aspects, from all backgrounds. You can talk to me if you have any questions, please.
Oh, by the way, this is the 4th shelter that Mrudula is constructing. So far we have constructed 3 shelters, and the way we got connected with Ravi is through one of that shelter projects. So when we initiated it in the beginning, it needs 6 rooms, right, for that special need children. And unfortunately, we have very limited funds. Like me and Mrudula were like 2 women army at that time in Chirag. It's like 10-year-old story. And when we are looking for funds, somebody said, your dollar to impact ratio is very small when it comes to the special need. Like, why you want to put all that money into a special need shelter, 6-room shelter? You can invest that in some other schools and things like that. I said, special need kid, you can't look for ROI. He's not a product. So I said, I'm looking for people who can believe in this cause, and some people recommended Ravi's name. And just like 15 minutes call I had with him, and he said, I'm in, and he funded like 2 rooms. And that's how our journey started. So you just need people who believes in the cause and who invest in your idea.
Thank you, Jyoti. Shada, you and I know who to go to if you need to build some infrastructure, right? So, yeah. Thank you, Mrudula. So I'm sure that special needs, that's an ocean, and I think we're barely scratching the surface right now. And I know we have a lot of 2 of my sisters here today. We'll obviously have them kind of mention their opinion as well. Priya, malnutrition is a really big problem, right? And it's very close to your heart. Girl-child health is very close to your heart. And you're a big ambassador of the HIV/AIDS children in Bangalore, right? Sneha Wise. You want to speak to some of them?
So yeah, a year ago or year and a half ago, I had the pleasure of meeting Mrudula and Jyoti at my place. Jyoti was a colleague of my husband's, and that there is something more that the children need. And my thought about it was that for a holistic child development, really there are 3 pillars. One is education, which a lot of organizations focus on. The other is empowerment, especially in girls, and in India it's a big need. But looking at those 2 pillars, I realized that the really important 3rd pillar was health. If we could jumpstart the health for children, put them on a solid foundation, and then build education and empowerment, there is no stopping these children. So when I met Jyoti, I always thought about this, but I didn't have the bandwidth to kick off a startup or even a non-profit to address this issue. And the way I looked at it is if I had strong partners, a good distribution channel, and as Mridula said, people that you trust, then taking this idea to the child and making sure that we can build a very strong health foundation would be an easy task. And that's how I partnered with Jyoti, and Jyoti brought me and introduced me to Ravi and Save the Child. And then I really thought the three pillars came together for a holistic child development. A lot of research has shown that malnourishment, undernourishment is one of the greatest problems across the world, mostly in third world countries. Africa, Asia, and India is one of the countries most affected. Most children, as Shaila mentioned, are coming in with maybe 1 square meal a day, maybe not even that. And then you can think about, the lack of all the nutrients and vitamins that are missing from that meal. Not even 3 meals, forget everything else, right? So research has shown that the ROI on using multivitamins for the micro and macronutrients is one of the best ways to address malnourishment, especially in these children. And the thought was that if we can address that even once a day with a meal that either a public school or a orphanage or a shelter or a special needs home can provide, if we can send our multivitamins through these channels, then we would be able to touch those children. And one of the the way you look at malnourishment is you can see stunted growth in children. Stunted growth basically results in a bad physical development, which means that the entire future is affected because they cannot work like a normal person can physically. They cannot do any work. And secondly, the mental development, the IQ is much lower, and education would be very difficult for those children. And so we are affecting an entire future generation by not focusing on malnourishment. And I thought vitamins would be a great way to address it. And we as Americans, we feed our children multivitamins. There are many different thoughts to it, but still science has proved that multivitamins do help fill this nutrient gap. And so as Ravi said, have worked with Sneha Care Home in Bangalore with HIV children who are on antiretroviral drugs, so they have a laundry list of vitamins that they need. Have worked with Chirag on schools that were adopted in their villages, and with Mridula specifically with a tribal group in close to her home. And looking forward to taking it into Africa. I'm going to be in Africa next week, Tanzania, so thinking of providing vitamins to a group there. And I'm actively talking to Ravi and Chirag to see how we can move it into other projects through, just leverage the distribution channel that's already there, collaborate with partners to get there.
Thank you so much, Priya. And Priya was giving a reference of Uganda. That's exactly where we are trying to put a program together to solve some of those malnutrition problems, right? For the guys here sitting here, I'd just like to share a small story because a couple of our kids from Chain Makers, they actually went to meet the HIV and AIDS kids in India at Sneha, right? So the kids came and asked our kids, is there HIV in USA? If you can find a medicine, can you please send it to us, right? It just kind of teared me up right then and there, right? So all I said to the Chain Makers was, I think now you have a reason to go become a research scholar or a doctor, because this is exactly why you should be doing what you should be doing, right? So I just want to thank all of you for your time today, and now that this part is over, we can just go have fun.